Join us as a raider of the North Sea. We're going to take on the challenges provided by the campaign here on Legendary Tactics. The second campaign challenge is called Feed the Village. And this one's a little more challenging than the first scenario in the campaign. The main difference, I think, is that, well, first of all, livestock cannot be converted into provisions, and the mill only grants a single provision, no matter which type of worker is placed there. So provisions are going to be key, and the 2 extra cards that we get basically reduce the cost of conducting raids in outposts and monasteries. So you're going to want to be focused on provisions, and one of the main things that I look for, and in this game I'm trying for, is to get a forager into my crew, because that's the one that is going to give you 2 provisions per play at the mill, and that's huge. That allows you, especially if your opponent doesn't have it, that is absolutely crucial. So I'm just going through trying to mill the deck and build up some resources, of course, but in this instance I'm really focused on the gatehouse. I'm digging around trying to find that forager, because it's such an advantage in this game. So if you luck out and you get a forager right off the bat, you're probably going to want her in your crew the entire game, because if you can double up the amount of provisions you're getting, there are a few cards, of course, where you can steal provisions from your opponent and so forth. But I think you can see here as well that I've clicked on the gatekeeper. I'm just trying to find the forager. Unfortunately, I have no luck with it in the early game. But if you're able to get the forager, just keep her in your crew the entire game. It allow you to raid much more than your opponent will, and give you kind of the unfair advantage in this campaign challenge. That's one of the absolute key units or whatever people that you want to have on your crew. You also want to keep an eye on the longhouse as well, because a lot of the resources, like once your crew's in place, obviously, I love the berserker in this, because once the berserker dies, comes back to your hand, which is huge. But a lot of the resources end up much more victory point, much more like just worth victory points, like the livestock. The other one, though, that you should pay attention to is the iron, and the reason why is, again, this game, this particular scenario, I feel is a lot about speed, and part of that speed comes from the armory, because the armory allows you to successfully conduct raids faster. So even if you can get the iron, that was what I found a useful focus, is to make sure that if there's a space with a couple of iron on it, that's pretty useful, because over the next couple turns you can then add 4 armor to your crew, and that's going to make such a difference long term. Of course, gold is still valuable and so forth, because especially when you're raiding the and later in the game, it's pretty important, obviously. But for me, I just see this challenge as kind of a bit of a speed run in that sense. You're just trying to get the raids, try to do multiple raids, trying to get the spoils of war as quickly as possible, spending a little bit of time at home, switching out the stuff at the longhouse and so forth, and then heading right back out again. So if you do that, I think, and especially if you have the forager to help with that process, I think you'll find this scenario is quite easy at that point. What made this game challenging is I couldn't find a darn forager forever in this game. So I'm having to make sure that I take provisions pretty much every turn. You can see I've already saved up 5 of them at this early stage. But the reality is that I just need to make sure that I've got them so I can raid, because again, it all just compounds. The more provisions you have, then the more raids you can do, which means the more iron you'll get, which means the more armor you'll get, and it just compounds. I mean, that's the game partly, but I just find that the provisions are really the key in this game, and I think it's designed basically with that in mind. This scenario, it's just to give you that bit of a challenge, to make sure that you're each campaign challenge has its own focus, and so this is that. So of course, when you're raiding, I mean, obviously take out the outposts and monasteries and harbors and whatever without the Valkyries, unless you have the Gravedigger. You've hired the Gravedigger and you get a free gold out of it. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit expensive to, if you really add up the resources that you get. I don't know if you can see at the top of the screen there. There's one where there's a gray totem, whatever you call them, and there's the livestock and 2 Valkyries. That's an incredibly high cost to pay for a single livestock. But again, this is keep an eye on the longhouse, because there's going to be some great opportunities there. You can see I'm kind of thinking, but I end up going with the longhouse to get 6 victory points. Just for 3 livestock and a silver, which the livestock are not. I mean, they're worth victory points in this, but they're not otherwise that useful. So keep an eye out if you see any opportunities in 6-7 victory point opportunities in the longhouse. It's worth working towards those, because again, if you view this as a speed run and essentially trying to get as many victory points as fast as possible before, I have played this scenario when I first tried it, and I found I went a little bit too slow, and your opponent starts raiding a lot and getting a lot of resources and man, he was like living in the longhouse and just getting victory points piling up. And so it's kind of easy to get, if you don't have the right focus, it's easy to fall behind. So in this case, I'm going after a spot with a Valkyrie, so I'm going to hire the Gravedigger first, and that's obviously going to give me something of a benefit. Anytime you can get a benefit from those crewmates that give you benefit if when they get killed in a raid are great. There's also a point too I find in this scenario where you end up doing the special actions from the town hall. I found I use this more than I typically do, because I always like to have crewmates ready to go in hand if I need to hire some, and I like to have a variety of options that way. But there were some times where there was moves I just couldn't see the value in any other move other than that. But I mean, you still get some value out of it as long as you've got some decent crewmates in the wings. So again, look at the value of the spot you're about to raid. I'm choosing that spot in particular because of the iron. The Gravedigger, of course, will give me a gold as well, and the livestock. Hey, I can trade those in at the longhouse shortly. So I'm gonna kill off the Gravedigger there, because there's opportunities now. The tough part is with the 7 point victory point thing at the longhouse requires an iron, which is not my ideal. I'd much prefer it just be silver and livestock, but it is what it is. But you can see, because I've built up all these provisions, it allows me to raid a couple times in a row here and leap ahead, grabbing some iron that is just lying there, no cost to me in terms of crew. Boosts my livestock's opportunities for victory points. So again, that's where I think the focus of this game, this particular scenario is. And I actually quite love the fact that you only get 2 silver when you play into the silversmith. I think that's really with the gray or white totems there, because I just think that that's great, because it gives some value to the black totems there that would otherwise not maybe be there. So it makes you think a little bit sometimes, where you feel like you're not getting as much value with the ones that now I grabbed the 7 point 7 points there. But it gives you some value out of the black tokens where you otherwise would feel they'd be underpowered. So I like that kind of balancing mechanic there. And so yeah, as you can see, I'm trying to build up my armor. I think eventually you do want to max out your crew. At some point you're going to have to anyway, because the toll the Valkyries are going to take. And I finally find the forager, and I'm jumping for joy, except for the barracks is not full, so I have to wait until next turn to put her into my crew. And then you can really see things kind of accelerate here, which is nice. I mean, I'm already doing well. It's funny, in the early games of this challenge, I found the AI to be pretty decent, and then suddenly once you figure out kind of the best optimal play, it shows its lack of imagination. But initially I found this AI to be pretty good. Maybe it was just having an off day. I don't know. I wasn't feeling well. So now that I have the forager, I mean, I can, I've got 5 provisions now, and I love the idea of raiding consecutive turns, because especially if you can, get just, load up on these resources, and then as you're restocking your provisions, you can hopefully use the longhouse to get victory points as well. So when you are forced to stay home just to prepare for upcoming raids, you can benefit both ways. And it's very much in the spirit of the game, because I love how the game has that kind of, you place a totem and then take a totem. Like, I love that mechanic. It's really fun and interesting, and it allows you to accomplish more than just by worker placement. You also gain when you pick up a totem, and I think that's really, it makes it feel like you're able to get a lot done in a shorter period of time, and kind of gives you an additional strategic dimension to consider as well. So now I'm looking to, now the only problem is there's a black totem on the mill, which means I can only go to the harbors. So I'm gonna, there's a few considerations like that, which you need to think about. So I'm just gonna cash in some victory points at the longhouse, and that's I'm happy with that. Now you will see the AI gain a bit of a more momentum shortly. It kind of has a bit of a comeback here, which is nice. You want to have a challenge from these games, and especially the solo versions. As far as the victory points go, I always shoot for the highest victory point score, but I'm happy to settle for the middle one, or I generally, if I can, settle for at least the middle one. If there's only 2 options, obviously it'll be the least of the 2. But I just think if you're raiding more often, not only are you getting the victory points for the raids, but it gives you more goods to trade in at the longhouse for victory points. So because as I said, when you're forced to stay at home because of a lack of provisions, then you kind of have to have something to do, and as well as that. So I think just place, get provisions, and then pick up a totem from the longhouse. That's a perfect move if you can score it. And don't forget, buying armor as well. And I'm absolutely fine with maximizing the armor, because again, it gives you the best possible chance of scoring victory points and more victory points as the game progresses. And now the AI is being a bit of a jerk, making me lose that armor. But as the game progresses, you're able to get more mileage out of your crew and get to those generally larger victory point spaces later on. So so right now I'm eyeing up that white token is very valuable because I can get to the high victory point raid targets. And I'm just trying to think through because I don't have the provisions I need. So I need to kind of plan this out a little bit. And I'm looking for some options as far as, which card I could use to benefit the most here. And so this is where I am able to use the mill to grab some provisions. Right, and then using that card, which allows me to play at another building, and look at that with the forager working her magic, go from 1 to 5 provisions in a single turn. Now it did require that special action there of enabling me to play the mill twice, but yeah, the fact you can do that is great. Now I'm stuck with now I got to figure out how I'm going to get get that a white token so I can start attacking the the far reaches of my empire right there. And the AI beat me to it. And ideally the move there would have been to place the token and pick up the armor, but I didn't have the money or the iron to be able to boost my armor. So that's definitely the token I'm looking at grabbing. And so really it's just kind of eyeing up the best of a bunch of bad options. So I'll just take some silver because there's really not a lot else I can do. But now I have I've boosted my armor back, and I have the white totem that I need to strike deep into the territory. And you can see the AI's doing a little bit better now. The AI will continue to gain a little bit of momentum, but now I've got 19 battle strength, and there's an opportunity to grab some stuff. I mean, I'm actually choosing the iron over the gold there, and also it's the easier victory as well. I'm just trying to rack up the victory points and just trying to end the game now. At this point, I'm just focused on ending the game as fast as possible because I'm ahead, and I don't want the game to overstay its welcome. I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to catch up at any stage. So I just want to end the game as quickly as I possibly can. But again, you can see I'm kind of limited by the provisions again as far as that goes. So I'm gonna and not just the provisions, but the gold now becomes a limitation. And this is unfortunate. It's especially tempting because there's 4 victory points for a gold and an iron, which I happen to have. But I'm gonna stay the course, and I'll leave that and hopefully pick it up later. So really it's just about, at this stage, it's about running out the clock, getting as much gold as possible. Now, if you need gold, they have that at the mill and or the treasury, actually. So you can do a gatehouse followed by treasury move, or you can do, if you have a white token, you can place the totem. Sorry, if you can place the white totem at the mill and get a gold. Unfortunately, the forager doesn't find 2 gold per play at the mill. Just 2 provisions, unfortunately. But hey, that's pretty good anyway. And you can see if you can get the forager in play, man, that's a game changer. So I haven't found any of the other cards, like some of the cards that reduce the 2 new cards that reduce the costs of raiding. Those are not bad. They're a little bit weak combat strength wise, but I mean, if you don't have the forager, they certainly make your life easier and more efficient. And I really had no choice here. I'm just going to kill off a berserker. He comes back into hand. I've got the silver to hire him back, so it's not a big deal. But the AI is pressing and getting some nice easy raid targets in the far reaches there, which is, it's it's a little bit of momentum coming from them. There's a little bit of stagnation on my end, I feel. Just not having the right token or using up all my provisions on a harbor raid, that kind of thing. Is a little bit of stagnation that I have to overcome here. But I have the gold that I need, and so that's good. I'm going to hire back my Berserker, and that's going to obviously get me back to where I need to be. And I'm going to get some more provisions, and just, again, the foragers are a big help. Because there's sometimes when you need 3 or 4 provisions, but a lot of times there's some options that are available with just 1 or 2, so it can set up a quick raid and just save you a ton of time. So definitely for this scenario, the forager is very key. And again, you can set up these kind of combos where you just, while you're stocking up, why not get some victory points into the bargain and just cash in some of your otherwise not very useful items, and that's you can see how the AI has saved up 4 provisions, which is great, but it takes a while to get there. And so now I'm looking at the last what I call the easy spot. It doesn't cost me anything in terms of crew, although that will become gradually irrelevant. I just missed the roll there. Obviously I needed a 9 or better to get it, but I generally aim for at least the middle one. I think it may take too much time to build up the crew, and I'd much rather have a forager in my crew than a bunch of tanks, a bunch of beastly warriors there that might give me some extra victory points, but I can't raid quite as often. And you can see here the AI has come back. It's 37 to 55. I'm still winning by a fair bit, but it's a little bit of a different situation. They're just kind of coming back, which is again why I want to end the game as quickly as possible. Although we're coming close to that point. But there goes my gold and iron that I was eyeing up. And gold becomes really valuable at this part of the game as well. And so you may end up kind of cashing in livestock or silver for victory points at the Longhouse. And I maxed out my armor, which is great. I just needed to confirm that. So I'm going to look where I'm headed and see what's there. I need a bunch of provisions for that one, and need full crew essentially for both, but at least 2 gold. So I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good to line up for that, for those raids. I just need to make sure that I've got the items that I need. But otherwise, it's 41 to 57. So I'm not worried. But again, let's just get this game done and lock in the win. So I'll just trade in a livestock for some victory points. And just try and stay ahead. So, and the AI is again looking fairly good in a sense. There are lots of provisions in hand and some options. So we're going, now that we got our white token, we are going to strike. And again, at this point, because I've maxed out my armor, iron really doesn't matter other than when it may count at the Longhouse. So it's more about ending the game now, and than it is about, it's more just about just ending the game. And so as you approach the end of the game, of course, the crew essentially becomes less valuable. If it's the last raid of your game, then as it is here, then who cares? There's no point in having wipe out your whole crew. It doesn't matter at that point. I'm just going to be looking for opportunities to score some few victory points here and there to top things up. The AI is going to do one last raid, which will give some victory points, but obviously not going to be able to cash in those goods at the Longhouse before the end of the game. So victory is mine at this point, and I'm just looking to rub as much salt into the wound as possible and finish things up. And you know, there may be a raid target out there I can grab, but I don't have the gold, don't have the provisions really for much other than a harbor raid, which doesn't give me much at this stage. So just gonna take a couple victory points there, and we'll grab this token for the gold there, and that's basically all I can do, but that's all I need to do. And so I hope this little walkthrough helped you to understand how to beat this challenge. As I said, as a relatively newer player to the game, the first time I played this, I actually lost it. I found it to be quite a challenge. But I think once you know to figure out the key cards and a few, you know, just key principles, it'll flow for you a lot better. So thank you for watching. Hope you got some value out of this video. Please like and subscribe, and join us next time here on Legendary Tactics.